Last we left our heroes, you were scrambling for a way out of the laboratory of Dr. Elsa Agueros beneath the grounds of Sanctuary. After an explosive battle, you knew reinforcements would be arriving soon, and with your party barely standing, surviving another encounter with the Blackwatch operatives or automaton guard was highly unlikely. Thus, you elected to take the route that led furthest from the Carrington Hall. Through twisting halls, you found the waste processing chamber and a chute that you explored down into an underground landfill of hazardous waste and decay. Some nearly grave mishaps and an unexpected encounter with a mutated monstrosity later, you found yourselves in Salvation Wood once more. Pushing through exhaustion, you hiked across swampland and reunited with your Fey refugees. Given your state, you rested briefly before debating what your next steps would be. Hunkering down here and hiding from your pursuers long enough to have a night's rest, to travel to another forested shelter, or to push on to the city itself. In the end, you elected to remain in the swamp south of Karden, but move further in the direction of the city and hunker down there. Before calling it a night, use the Infinite Alliance Nexus rings to call your employer and inform him of your situation. The Immortal Man moved swiftly and promised an extraction by daybreak. The instruction to hold tight until then. With that, you finally crashed, feeling the burden of the day's events fully weighing down on you before sleep took you. By daybreak, your extraction team arrived. You clambered into their dummy carriages, and under their deceptive prowess, you were carted back through the city gates and into Karden proper once more. As you are let free, you find yourselves in a dimly lit stone room, however, instantly put at ease by the presence of the Immortal Man. With a few words to your smugglers and a small exchange of coin, the carriages and their drivers drove up the cobblestone ramp, which you had descended down into this space from. A large door is slid open to reveal the brilliant morning light of the city beyond as they exited out into the daylight before the door was shut behind them. Your party, your old and new friend, Kelzera and Mogden, and the 7 refugees now stand in this kind of loose huddle as Ludomir turns to the group and we begin tonight. My friends, if we could speak in private before we address the group here. Do not worry, he puts his hand out. You will be safe. But allow me a moment to confer with these new friends of yours. He kind of pulls you off to just still in the same room, but just kind of more into a corner. Cal leans heavily on you, Mogden, as the wear and tear and exhaustion is fully setting in, and he's kind of just slumped over heavy. And the other refugees, they all just kind of huddle in together, but have huddled in together like directly beside you as well. Like you've just been absorbed into this conglomerate of people, fearful people, using the bear as warmth. To the 4 of you who come over with the Immortal Man.
What I would say, it would seem you were successful in your endeavor, if not tying in what appeared to be an exit. Are you okay?
We're not good.
I think we're okay. It was pretty close there. I think we were successful. Yeah. It's been a weird couple days.
We're okay now.
Good. I trust your large friend over there.
Which large one?
He's with the Watchers.
The furry one.
Mm-hmm. The largest one.
Oh, yeah. He came in real handy.
I would imagine so. Can handle himself well in a fight?
Yeah. Maybe not the start of fights, but then he kind of like ramps up to it, and then he's really good in a fight. Except when he's ooze. Well, he was still pretty good when he was ooze in the fight, I think.
He was still really good as ooze.
Yeah.
Just get past that.
There's a lot of things that we need to fill you in on.
Indeed, and I want to hear all of them, as always. Information is king to me. But I can see the looks on your faces and the fresh wounds that you all seem to be suffering. Rest may be most immediately in order. But unfortunately, before I can give you that reprieve. There are several individuals here who I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, okay. So the very short version is Sanctuary, really bad, tried to steal these people. Some of them are probably from the Feywild, and then they were gonna try to torture them. That's Cal from like Ursa.
Interesting.
They also said...
What does the...
Oh, they probably have a... We're trying to figure out what's going to happen. He's really out of it because he was being actively electrocuted when we found him.
So there were survivors of the attack?
Yes. Basically just him. Oh, you mean... Well, yes, from the... Wait, what attack?
Isaac has let me know that the Rheinhrasher has been destroyed, and he found the wreckage. We had assumed that all was lost.
Well, there were survivors. Apparently, Ursa's somewhere. He said they took her, but then he kind of passed out. We didn't get much more than that. And then he was taken, and so was the captain. But apparently, the captain's not himself anymore, and we couldn't save him.
Then I am going to apologize to you all that your rest will not come quite so immediately. We will have to have a discussion with him before. I must know this information as quickly as possible so I can inform Isaac and we can make our moves fast. And then, of course, you'll be given rest. But I can ease your suffering for the time being. In the immediacy, though, these 7 others...
They need to be somewhere safe. I'm not sure. Some of them are from here. Undesirables for experimentation and who knows what else. So some of them will be known to people here. Others, I'll point out the ones who are more Feywild. I don't think I've ever been here before, but I mean, there's going to be people looking for them, and probably us. We didn't exactly lie, though.
It happens.
Happens a lot.
Andy and DeCrane won a dance contest.
I saw. Congratulations.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be in front of a lot of people. I'm sorry. I just really wanted. Oh, I never even got it. I never even got my silk and my thread after all that.
I can get you your silk and thread. It seems a lesser concern at this moment, if I'm being very honest.
Yeah, stop talking about the dance.
We're really tired.
Yes, and as I said, I can help with that.
I'm not sure if they should stay here, if they should be somewhere out of the city. We just couldn't get them anywhere else. It was going to take too long. So we thought this was a safe.
I will take care of this. Is there anything that you needed from them?
My hat.
We probably need to talk to him a little bit. I mean, I don't think it would hurt, especially we found a book from... we found a lot of stuff that we might need to read through to see if we need to ask any questions of them.
Understood. You may... We
don't know what we don't know yet.
That's okay. You may reunite with your Ursuline ally and Master Calzura. I will take the refugees of these figures inside for rest and to put them at ease. I have the funds to take them anywhere they wish to go, and will do so, provided that they want to go somewhere, that they wish to go somewhere, that they wish to be taken from this. I can recognize the signs of what they have been through. It has been seen before, unfortunately.
One of them, her family's still here. She doesn't know what happened to them.
Allow me to see to them at the very least. Of course, feel free to speak to them yourselves, but let me take them inside for now and collect yourselves, and once
he just kind of leaves it, and then he turns back to the to the group.
Excuse me. Oh, I understand that this has been a tiring time for you all. Certainly a difficult last few hours, and likely by the looks of things, days and or weeks. I humbly offer you a safe, warm place to stay, food, and rest as long as you may take it. You're more than welcome here, and you are safe. I promise you that, on my life.
We appreciate your kindness.
My allies here have introduced you as Mogden, of the faction that I'm familiar with.
That is correct. Mogden or Iron Claw is my associates know me as, but yes, Mogden is fine for me.
Understood. If you and Master Kalzura wish to stay here for the few moments while I tend to these others, I will return and we may discuss in further the events that have transpired before I allow you to rest, of course.
Not a problem. By looks of friend here, any time for sitting will be well appreciated. Yeah.
Absolutely. Please.
He gestures to lead the other refugees inside, and they just kind of look to you all as the only other people that they kind of know. And with your kind of smiles and positivity, they follow suit, feeling as safe as they can in a stranger's home, who they just met after being smuggled in a potato cart. Ludomir enters into whatever this structure is with them in tow. The door shuts, and again, it's just your party, Cal and Mogden.
Why don't we sit you down, Cal? Maybe you have a little lie down.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate that.
Just Mogden lowers you to the floor.
Cradles you to the ground.
You're very gentle. You're a very gentle creature for someone quite so muscly.
And I have had many, many years of practice being gentle.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Mogden, do you prefer Iron Claw? Like, should we have been calling you Iron Claw this whole time?
No, I prefer Mogden. Iron Claw, watchers have interesting practice of assigning names, and this more official name for workplace, but I am fine with Mogden. That is name of my people.
Oh.
And name of my friends, You are now friends of Mogden. You call Mogden.
If you're good at naming things and you just happen to think of a good name for all 5 of us, you just spit it out at any point, okay?
Well, this challenge for Mogden I accept. I will do my very best for you.
Perfect. I turn to the group with thumbs up.
At least he didn't yell at us.
He was so nice.
Yeah.
Remember when he told us to... Yeah.
Oh, my apologies for interrupting. I'm merely going to ask, this is your employer? Everything in good standing with your boss?
Yeah, admittedly, he, everything's fine. He's great. He did very specifically tell us to lay low, and we did not do that. And then we got in more trouble after performing in a fashion show, and then the bunch of people were after us, and then he's like, now you really gotta lay low, and we're like, we definitely will, and then we definitely didn't. So we thought he might be mad, but not in like a actually mad, more like I'm just kind of disappointed, which is like worse, honestly. We'll see. Maybe that speech is still to come.
I think it's still coming for sure. Nettie and I have heard that speech a lot in our life, and so I can kind of feel it's coming.
Yeah, you just know.
But his name's Ludomir, and he's never really done us wrong. He brought us together. He's been very generous. He's clearly got a lot of dollar bills, or I guess gold coins. So yeah, I think you can trust him for sure.
Well, this is good news for me. As long as you are comfortable, then by association, I am comfortable.
Do you feel like you got everything you needed from the wildness that was the last 24 hours?
There are many questions still to be answered about Sanctuary, but at this stage, I have discovered many things that were unknown to us prior to this excursion, so I cannot consider this a loss, but I feel as though there are still many questions that we will seek answers to, but this is excellent start for our organization.
We do have a lot of paperwork to go through.
Indeed.
Pull out of my bag that I got.
No.
I'll kind of recap some of what that was that you've kind of pulled together, just in just to give everyone the context once more. So you have the you just grabbed all that you could carry of patient files, current and archived, and the archived ones you've kind of read into are more like deceased and the circumstances of their of that. Now you kind of assume are probably more or less natural causes. But you have the current and archived patient files. Mogden picked up what is essentially the Dummy's Guide to Breaking and Making Bond Mages, which will come in handy to those who are in that line of work, but will serve very well for evidence for his endeavors. You have Dr. Algaros's kind of notes and several years of journals. I believe there are 6 that you've grabbed all 6 of them that are going between 4 or 5 years apiece of like her various musings and kind of technical ideas and kind of exploded, mechanics kind of drawings, that kind of thing. And
that could be good for you, whether there's gun drawings.
Tons of information for all manner of things, but you did flip through and see that, yeah, there were several kind of like artificed and improvements on the Starwheel pistol, and revolver. And there was, the weapon that you picked up from her desk is like your pistol, but more powerful. Like she's augmented it. So there's certainly some other elements that you could pick up and read and try and work on your own, or hire out to be worked on for you potentially. And there's all manner of other kind of ideas and elements in there. Lots of things to kind of dig into. Last thing was in the latest journal, you found the Gloam Key encrypted several look like letters in like a vellum envelope, which will need decrypting.
Did we also we found the thing that had the seal, right? Like we found... Yes.
There you have 2 kind of wax seals, one with the symbol of Vorbrund, the Flame of the North, this kind of ruined capital of Ironhome, in the north of Ironhome, and then the other of the Arcanoclast. Kind of unsurprisingly, though, notably Sanctuary and whatever this operation was from the public perception not affiliated with the Arcanoclast, to the Watcher's presumptions was definitely like an offsite, underground sect of the Arcanoclast. That was the presumed idea. You're not sure how high up that goes, whether this is like intended from like the Lord Commander to set them in place, or if Elsa has gone ahead and done this of her own volition with her own connections in the Arcanoclast. That is TBD.
But isn't the Lord Commander her brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
You say you called the Gloam Key letters? Well, how did you? Yeah.
So Gloam Key is it's essentially like a Sylvan Pigpen cipher. So it has this coded kind of language that is translated. It's translated into Sylvan. So if you don't read Sylvan already, that's going to be gobbledygook. But if you do read Sylvan, it's still a mess, but you can kind of like break it out and apart if you have the right cipher. These guys have decoded a Gloam Key cipher and encryption before, so you have at least the beginnings of a cipher. If it's the same cipher, that you'll have to figure out for yourselves. And I believe, Mogden, that you rolled to see if you recognize this, and as part of your kind of watcher training and your cryptology training, you recognize but have not decrypted it. So you know you could, but you've not taken a stab at it. These guys do have at least a key to start things off. It'll just take time, really, is the biggest thing. Is it takes time to go through what are several letters.
Okay.
There's a lot of things to look through here, and I think we're going to be discovering whores for a really long time.
There is something of interest with these letters, Gloam Key letters. My associate, Star Speaker, is expert in cryptology, and while I myself have background in these things, these are not familiar to me, but it is my thinking that perhaps he might be able to help us decode what is inside these documents, or at least perhaps it would be worth bringing them forward for their review.
I mean, considering they're the ones who sent you on this whole thing, I think a meeting is probably going to happen at some point.
I should hope so, because I do not know what to do with all of these findings. It is a little bit more than Mogden is used to dealing with. I'm more of a scrappy bear, you know? I like to get hands dirty, less paperwork, less office work.
You're telling me. DeCrane, how do you feel about your new cool star pistol?
As long as it's not magic. But I'm a creature of habit, and I'll probably stick with mine first.
Interesting.
I can look at it when we're not all about to fall asleep and see what's magic. Didn't we grab some other stuff? Didn't someone grab little vials? And there's a bunch of stuff we might want to look at in the next few days.
We have a void spawn in a jar.
Great.
And have some alchemy vials, if that's up your alley. Certainly.
Well, I can at least look at them for you. I guarantee they're magic. I guarantee basically or artifice magic, whether or not it's arcane. But I can look at it not today. I'm sorry, I'm too tired. But let's just not forget about that stuff.
And we got a healing potion, which is very important.
Yes. Which is magic.
Pretty sure that was used.
But I don't use it.
I'm pretty sure in the chaos of trying to get out, someone took the potion.
Yeah,
was it used on Andy?
I don't know.
I think it's the one that I was holding.
Oh no.
No.
That was the dragon vessel, but when Mogden or DeCrane or someone went down from the burst of fire.
I was on fire, I thought.
Right.
They gave me
Mogden
something.
almost died.
Yeah, I was burned up real good.
I forgot that you rolled
was the second burn.
entire wild magic table. You could turn into a potted plant. You could do all sorts of
summon a
crazy
unicorn.
Shit. Like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fireball. Like the most cliche.
It was a truncated version of the table, but still.
It was funny.
Mogden had a rough outing. In terms of making like a first impression, he wasn't on his A game. He was jello. He was on fire.
Very well.
He fell on his face. He activated a gargoyle.
I think the fact though that you weathered all of the storm and took a lot of those hits for the rest of the party does put you head and shoulders above them.
He's a grizzled old bear. He's seen a lot in his time. He's been through a lot. This is just
he's a grizzly bear?
He's just a grizzled bear, but yeah, he's a grizzly, I would say.
I'd give you a grizzly.
Yeah, he's not like a black bear. He's like a Kodiak kind of like.
Yeah.
Well, he'd be more like the Siberian equivalent of a grizzly. Mm-hmm. He'd be like the bears that you see in all the Russian like TikToks, where there's like some guy like eating on a log with a grizzly bear that's just hanging out, or they're doing pull-ups on a tree branch with a bear. That's Magocracy. Yeah.
We like specificity here, so that's good.
Look it up.
Well, should we get some sleep?
Oh, I have to get out of this place first. Wait for our boss to come back. Is Cal unconscious?
Yeah, Cal's been gently snoring on the floor for the last 5 minutes that you guys have been talking. There is a little bit of time before Ludomir returns. But if any of you do get curious, you do can go poke your head into the door that he left from, and you see the interior of of an estate, a manor home of some capacity. You don't see any sign of any other people. You don't see the refugees. You don't see Ludomir, but about a half hour or so passes before he returns. And you hear his kind of return. For those of you who have been exhausted enough to have fallen asleep in that time, you can feel free to. But there's, I know, obviously, Decrane, you would still be awake to hear this. Is where the rest of you are at is up to you.
But I can add long rest still.
We can all long rest, but everyone can go through the long rest process because there's no threat of any kind of danger coming. This is just a conversation, and it is just the extending yourselves through another kind of night. You have had multiple short rests. You just haven't had a good 8-hour rest yet. Mm-hmm. It will be coming. But the door back into this kind of area opens, and Ludomir descends.
You have found quite the interesting bunch there. A couple of interesting characters. And some, there's some who have faced significant, trying days. I trust that they have given you the kind of the brief on what it is they have gone through. Yes?
Sounds pretty horrific, yeah. Were all of them? No, not all of them. Some of them were at the jail in the city, right?
Only two. Margot and Dio were from here, from Terminus. Right. The other 5 are refugees of the Feywild itself. A peculiarity, but aligning with the information that we had surmised of the Pale Court that you had encountered previously, and those of the rot blades that wielders. Many things are coming fast into focus for me, but there are still many dark spots and blurry elements that need to be honed. I offered all of them obviously a place to stay for the night, but passage wherever it is they wish to go, free of charge, and they could leave whenever it is they wish. But I did offer the opportunity to those who were open to it. I could read within them a fighting spirit, at least in some of them, and offered up the opportunity to join our alliance.
New recruits.
Indeed. Offered up to the elder of the Mary Court, Uriel, and ever the honorable knight, it would seem, he is agreed to join our alliance as he said, to repay the generosity and cost, but wished to take his family from Karden. So he and the Many Courts will be on the way to Mirabella. Margot had hoped to remain here in Karden as well. She noted that she wanted to wait for her husband, who was still in Terminus. However, in the time that you have been away, he's no longer in Terminus. perilous, I'll say. So she will be accompanying the medic courts south. Master Dio is already spoken for in the patronage, so to speak. However, he did offer that should the whims of his patron and ours align, that he would be ready for a fight in our name. Master Glyph has sustained too many injuries to be ready for anything such as this, and his desire to retire with the many courts in Marabella will serve him well. However, Millicent has elected to stay here with us, so her fighting spirit is not yet done. So she will remain, and I will work on indoctrinating her here with our meager team, but better some than none.
Which one was Millicent?
The elf, the pale elf.
So sorry, Kyle. Remind me, Millicent, and what was the name of the oldest mayor court?
Uriel.
Uriel.
Uriel, Lion's Mane of the Manticourts, Knight of the Blossoms.
Some of that was right.
I know, I was so close to having it all right.
So two newer.
Have they left yet, or are they going to leave?
Oh, no, they're fast asleep. They will likely stay here for several days to avoid any potential suspicions, and then I will arrange for their travel south within a week's time.
Because Nettie and I's moms are they live in Marabelle, so I was thinking Margot could take my hat and go with the Manticourts and then show my hat to our moms so they know we can trust them. And it'd be a good place for them to lay low. They could help on the farm. There's plenty of space. Nettie, do you think they'd be okay with that?
Oh, yeah, they would love that. That's such a good idea.
Of course, I'm happy to arrange for this to happen.
Okay, amazing. I think that'd be great.
Wonderful. It has, as I said, been a trying night for you all, and I don't want to keep you much longer. So allow me just to...
And he just kind of, without really saying anything more, puts his hand out and just kind of splays his fingers, and you just watch this golden glow from his hand. And the room becomes incredibly warm. You are all healed fully, and all your exhaustion cleared. You watch some of Cal's wounds just instantly heal up. These long, tortured wounds. You see you watch the glow, and you feel the wave of relief. But there is a troubling kind of effect as you watch all of the pain and wounds be reflected on Ludomir. You see every cut and wound split his face, and you see his shirt begin to bleed, and you see instantly kind of healing and sealing itself back up, but he experiences every one of the things that he takes from you.
Oh, Mr. Immortal Man, you don't have to do that much.
Don't think of it. I have sustained far worse than this in a long life. Do not worry.
Okay.
But I appreciate your concern. Now,
he kind of gestures to Cal, who's with the healing, kind of suddenly sitting up and feeling a little stronger, a little better for himself.
I apologize, Master Kazura, but I must hear your account of things before I can allow us to fully settle in. I have an agent in the field currently who has seen the wreckage of the Ram Thrasher. And though you may have only heard of me and have some experience with our mutual fellows here, your ward, as it were, she carries something that I believe to be incredibly powerful and incredibly dangerous in their own hands. And I wish to ensure her safety, most of all. Are you all okay to listen and or do you need the rest now? I'm happy to do this with Cal on my own.
I mean, after what you did, I'd be fine to listen. What do you guys think?
I want to hear what happened.
Yeah, all right. I guess first of all, thanks for healing me, I guess. It's strange because some of that, well, it ain't so different from what Ursa was able to do. When you all left us in Darkville and we took off on the Rhyme Thrasher, we were gone out in the... There were weeks out on the ice fields. It was great. It really was. We were just kind of going about our thing with Verglass and the crew. They were teaching us little things. We're earning our keep. But after what y'all said to her to kind of get things started and help her learn how to control a little bit of what she could do, she really got the hang of it. She was able to, those little things she made before she left, she could make big ones. She could make them come and go. She could do all sorts of things that I don't know how to do any of it. No, it sure kept us entertained, I'll say that. It was beautiful. And she was so proud. So proud she could control it. Well, we were out there for about a month. Maybe a bit more. And we were hit by these frost reavers. They're like pirates out there. It had been weeks since anything of real threat had come our way. And she'd been able to, control the influence of whatever that darkness was in her. Thanks to you all, well, like I say. But when we were hit by these reavers that night, they kind of caught us unaware. They came at night. We're in bed. They rounded us all up on the deck. It wasn't looking good. The captain of these reavers and his first mate or whoever, they went off to talk. Something in Ursa sparked. She knew something was going to happen. She knew that they were going to turn on us. And so she called on her guardian, same as when we first met. But she could control it. It weren't this crazy beast like it was in Grill. It was a knight. It was a crystal emerald soldier. It broke all our chains. It burst out. It fought back. It summoned weapons for us. It was amazing. In this massive final kind of burst, she was angry at these reavers. She was really angry. Never seen her quite so angry. She let loose this energy, this blast. And sent most of them fucking flying off into the ice. We were fine. None of us were lost. We celebrated quite heavily that night, I'll be honest. But there was something in her after doing that she couldn't shake this concern. She kept looking over her shoulder. She kept thinking something was watching. She kept thinking something was coming. And she was right. It But 3 nights after the Reaver attack, we were hit again. This time, it was more coordinated. It was, the guys of the good doctor controlled our people. These guys could fight. These guys were strong, fast. We knew how to shut down everybody. Well, they weren't alone. They had these, I've heard you guys kind of oversay in this pale court. Buzzing around, flying around, they had their own kind of magic, and their leader, captain, their commander, whatever, he showed up too. That fucker could fight. He moved like a fucking storm. It was... I don't frighten easy. But if it weren't for Ursa, that whole crew was dead in 6 seconds. The second that guy showed up, she felt it. We were down below. She felt it coming. It woke me up, and she fucking burst through the upper deck. 50-foot tall, armored knight, crystal, gem, and emerald with her at center. This massive, booming, beaming light lit up the darkness of fields of ice for miles. Gave us a chance to fight. We did. It was bloody. But their leader was a little too much. I don't know how he got up. He got up to Ursa in this fucking Emerald Guardian form thing, and he knocked her out. He put her down. The whole thing just shattered, and he grabbed her. And he called out in some fucking other language. And he flew off with her. And without her and how tough these other fuckers were, we couldn't fight. They killed most of the crew and just threw them off into the fields. A couple of us they kept. I don't even know if they knew why they were keeping us. Just protocol or some shit. They called them Archlord. They called them Lord. They call them Silgoth. I don't know. I was knocked out, and I don't know when I woke up. Me and Verglass, a couple of the others, we were in chains in a different boat with the Arcana-class crew, headed back to the Grey Keep. We were there for a couple of days before heading down to Sanctuary. I was in Sanctuary there for a little while before y'all came. I lost track of time, if I'm honest. It's tough to, I was able to listen a little bit in. I was able to keep a little bit of my mind. I heard enough to see that the Arcana-class, the good doctor's people, well, they're allied with this Silgoth figure. They're allied with the court. Whatever it is that they want with her, she seemed to be a big piece of something they're working on. All I know is that I failed her on that night. I know there ain't much I could have done. I can't rest any longer without knowing that she's safe. And it's a miracle y'all are here right now that I'm talking to you. But whatever strength y'all got, I need it now.
We'll get her back.
I'm really sorry you had to go through all that.
Ty asked a question. Ty, why don't you ask your question? Because I don't want to misguide you here.
About her age, how old she is?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old is this? How old is this? Is Ursa? Is that the name?
Ursa. Yep. These guys know her as Ursa Deverall. You've not heard the last name, but her name is Ursa Deverall. She is like 14. So a young woman, young girl, a little bit more mature than a kind of a 14-year-old. She's seen a lot in her short time here, and has been experiencing these like crazy weird powers that has maybe kind of pushed her onwards in like a mental maturity. But so she's a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah, still a kid.
Yeah.
Mogden doesn't know anything of the backstory, but just listening to you, like listening to Cal talk, you can see that his stare has become distant and his eyes are a little glassy, and there's this sort of, call it a bit more of a stoic but sort of vengeful presence that has washed over him. He seems very invested in this story, despite very little connection to this individual.
Okay, we just kind of clock that. Maybe just gauge the little change in your posture. I will say, out of game, I have written down in my notes, episode 18, Archlord Silgoth. So we've heard this name before. I think that was in the tower. Coded missive on Moth Guy. Archlord Silgoth. So I think he was in our first ever tie. We got one of these notes previously that had the cipher on it. And when we did the cipher, I think we managed to do that.
Yeah, that was before we claimed Extrix.
The Mothman prophecies.
They're not to be fucked with. They suck.
That was a rough fight.
I'm just picturing like Mothra from the old Godzilla movies.
How do you spell Silgoth? Is it Sylgoth?
Silgath.
That was so wrong.
Silgoth. Okay. I got it, gang. Do you mind if I dig out that note, Kyle, to share from the past?
Good for you.
Okay, I was thinking, I just keep some of the stuff in my back pockets. So our initial note that was coded, it said, "Warriors of the Pale, our efforts against the bitch queen's light triumph. Stay the course, take prisoner the weak, make examples of the untamable. The talons chip beneath our might. Under the pale banner, our everlasting life will be returned. Signed, Archlord Silgoth." Crazy.
I wonder if she was working on weapons for them.
Whoa. Also on this note, there's another thing, and it says, okay, two things. First, to all the Mothrin, plant the seeds far from the light's reach, sow fear wherever magic alights, and deliver your harvest to the north. Okay, that's kind of interesting. But I was actually looking at over here. Remember the three symbols? One said roots, one says sanctuary, one says tower. We were just at sanctuary. You guys aren't reacting as big as I reacted. This is a crazy reveal.
Put together.
More just makes me way more terrified. And I'm working on that.
They did say they were taking deliveries to a tower.
When did they say that? Which ones?
When I was in Sanctuary, we're all.
Okay.
It's kind of a blur. I heard a lot. I saw a lot. Bits and pieces that I filed away. But I definitely heard. I saw when we first were brought in. When I was kind of most cognizant of what was going on, we were brought in through this morgue and then into into the cell block in the breaking room that y'all would have saw. When we came in, they were coming out with about 6, 7, maybe 8. Not so dissimilar to them in there. Just kind of a bunch of people. They all had these kind of these collars around their necks, and they weren't of their own right minds. They were kind of zombies, just following. They didn't have manacles or chains, but heads down, glassy eyes. But they were taking them to the tower, is what they said.
What if the roots was the underworld? Step one.
You saw them leave facility of sanctuary, these people, they got in carriage and leave. This was one thing to be solved. We saw who come in, but we never solved who left or what was leaving.
Yeah, when we came in, there was, like I said, like maybe 6, maybe 7, maybe even another one. I didn't see where they went to, but it seemed like we were unloading and then they were reloading with whoever was coming out of Sanctuary to go up north somewhere to this tower, I guess.
We did see people like that, though. There was the people in the cells who seemed like they were on her side. I wonder if they were...
The cargo.
Cal, did you remember, you said you were brought in with others. I don't remember because my brain is broken, but there was a person with wings. Can I just describe all the people we saw in the cells and see if any of those match any people he saw?
Mm-hmm.
Like when he was coming in, almost, or like who he was brought in with or anything like that.
As you kind of run through the descriptions, he says,
I remember seeing them, but they were already there. They were, I don't know.
We have the patient files, though. We can, okay.
They were kind of, they weren't quite in the same, I don't know how to describe it. They weren't being experimented on, but they were, they like served a doctor. But when she was near, they were her like attendants. They did her kind of bidding and kind of the same as what I'm saying with these other folk who left. They weren't of their right minds. They're just following orders because they had to.
Did it look like they had any agency of their own, or they were under some kind of spell, or they weren't making decisions for self? They followed orders, but without any choice.
Not when she was there. If a doctor was there, they were at her beck and call. When she weren't there, it's hard to remember entirely. We couldn't quite see one another from cell to cell, but I don't know.
Do you know of any of these individuals having undergone procedure similar to yours, or any kind of action that may have changed them from when they first entered Sanctuary to when you saw them serving her?
When we got there, they were already there, and they were already like that. And we didn't see in the time we were there any of the others leave like the others that we kind of swapped out with. It seemed like for the time when we came in, we were the kind of project. And there were, I forget how many of us there were at the beginning. It's kind of hard to, when we first came in, there was just a lot of poking and prodding, questions, asking about dark demons hidden inside. Couple of days, things started to kind of shift, and then she was really asking about Ursa. She wanted to know about the Emerald Knight, source of her power. Luckily, I don't know shit about it, so that kind of works out for me. In a way, things got a little worse after that.
Did it sound like she's still like? I'm wondering if this Silgoth guy took him for herself, or For himself or for the doctor? Did it sound like she was like trying to track her down, or just like
no, she knew where she was. She wanted to know about her. She wanted to know everything she could to help something. She knew what she was going for. She knew he had her. She just wanted to know what she was.
This young woman's fate is tied to the doings of Sanctuary, then it would seem.
It's like it's all connected.
I think I'm pretty confident that what Elsa is sending up to this tower are these folk, and she's also been making stuff that goes in crates that goes up there, like seems like weapons or something. This Solgoth they're at war. This Pale Court are at war with the Fae. That's all they would overhear them talking about is this big war. I don't know how these all plays into it, but they're fighting and she's helping.
Do you recall a name ever being used in your time at Sanctuary? I believe Thal is the name I see on notes at one point in my research before leaving for Sanctuary, but there was a man or woman, I do not know, by the name of Sal, and I do not know if this is a name that you have heard in your time in the walls of Sanctuary themselves.
It doesn't ring a bell, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
It is okay. This is very insightful. Many pieces of puzzle are now starting to slowly come together. This seems like a much more complex issue than perhaps I had anticipated previously, but the story of this little girl is most fascinating to me.
Do we want to have a little sleep now, and in the morning maybe try and decipher that other note?
It might be time to rest, I do agree.
I mean, we gotta. I don't know, do we need to start something to find us? Something about a tower. That's all we got right now. It's taking it to a tower, probably.
Wild roll. Hey, we heard any towers in Vigil? Any like famous? Was there a famous tower in that city that fell? Like the former
hundreds.
Yeah.
Not
So
like
many.
not an iconic like.
You guys don't know shit about Gammalast. Nobody knows about Gammalast.
How about anything in Vigil? Like any famous towers or anything like that?
You can make a history check, but I'm going to tell you it's like the highest DC that can be rolled. Like there's so many towers. I'll give you something.
Hey,
Would a conversation with the Watchers have any value in this issue?
Absolutely.
Because what happened?
I was going to say guaranteed nat 20, and it was just a nat 1, just straight up nat 1.
You were
I
close.
hurt myself thinking about it.
You're like, no, man, there's a tower. It's this one. I'm 100% sure.
Yeah.
I punched myself in the face.
The clock tower somewhere you've seen once. You're confident. That's the one.
Tower.
Perhaps my colleagues would have some information about these towers that you speak of, and maybe if I may suggest, I could leave these papers that we have found with them for their review, and perhaps we can schedule a meeting to discuss these with them, and perhaps it would shed some light on both what we have found within the walls of Sanctuary, but also the information that you are seeking with regards to these towers you speak of.
I think a meeting is necessary at this stage. I know that the Watchers do not necessarily take a fondness to myself. However, such times demand we put aside our differences and we share what it is that we have come across here.
Your faction has been invaluable in finding the information that I am about to present to them, and whatever issues you may have had with one another in the past, I would say and suggest and hope that it will be set aside for the benefit of a greater, more prosperous future together.
You are you're a fascinating creature, Mogden. And I appreciate your words. I foresee a difference in how you feel when you learn what it is that Sentinel hates about me. I'm sure it will come out. The time for secrets is behind us. Would you do the honors of making this meeting, Mogden?
It would be my great honor and privilege, yes. I will reach out to my associates and we will set this up perhaps for tomorrow. And in the meantime, you might be interested in taking much needed rest, no?
Well, Mogden, I think you should too. I mean, yes to all of that. But also, we all gotta lie pretty low in the city. I would just recommend, we went toe-to-toe with some people who know people, so we should all be pretty covert.
It is funny to hear you saying this, if I am honest.
What was that?
It is funny to hear you say too late.
I know.
It's a little ironic. It's a little...
I wasn't in the dance.
That's not the part that is the problem. Now,
We totally planned. We're like, this is great. We'll get out of the city. And it'll be like, no, I don't see it. It'll be great. We'll be not here. And then it backfired pretty spectacularly. But I mean, that's kind of everything we've done has backfired pretty spectacularly.
Plans do not always go to action as we have seen. And this is just something we become accustomed to dealing with on the fly, yes?
such is life of the adventuring kind. Mogden, if I could ask, rather than tomorrow, I would like to gather my sources and gather as much information as possible and sort out a few other details with my associates. If you could set the meeting for 3 days' time, that would be appreciated.
This is no problem. I will reach out to my associates and make it so.
And of course, to you all, and Mogden, of course included, the estate here is yours to rest within and take these days as you please. To Augustus's point, should you desire to make your way out into the city, please do so with caution. The city will no longer be a sanctuary for you, given what has transpired in the last few days. I have to trust that they have, our enemy has seen the face of each of you, given, what I can surmise has occurred here.
We tried talking to the enemy, and then DeCrane just shot her.
Well,
we were
you do have the
talk, and then boom, he's like, shut up, boom.
You do have the shoot first, ask questions later kind of demeanor.
Sometimes fear works.
It only works when they are afraid of you, unfortunately.
God, he's so cool, Nettie. He's like even dropping cool lines now.
No.
Please, let's retire inside. You're going to experience a weird delay of time as it is quite bright morning today. But you'll get right.
Yesterday was the longest day of my entire life. It felt like it was 4 weeks.
As you all make your way inside the estate and are led to various places to rest, the massive king 4-post corner beds, it is a luxurious, wonderful rest that you achieve. A long rest, and we all level up. Everyone here is level 6. Mogden is up to level 7.
Eat that.
And with that, I've already gone ahead and done some of our leveling up, but I do like to have everyone roll our hit points. So let's all roll some hit points. If you roll a 1, you re-roll.
What about a 2, Kyle? What if you roll a 2?
Scott rolls a 2.
What are we rolling for that?
So Ty, you are rolling a a hit die, so I believe it's a D12 as a barbarian.
Oh, fuck you very much with my little
That's
D6.
sick. I think mine's D8, right?
I think D8,
Kevin's
D10 for the ranger and the fighter, D8 for the druid, D6 for the wizard, D12 for the barbarian.
Big money.
If you roll
Let's
one,
go.
we re-roll one.
A 7. I've never rolled this high before.
Oh, 12. 12, baby. 12.
That's amazing.
There we
Mogden
go.
finally rolled well.
A 1, so I'm re-rolling.
Reroll.
A 4,
There
Okay,
you go.
all above average.
which for me is great. I know it doesn't sound good.
And a D10 for Ali and Kev.
9.
That's
Nice.
We're getting a lot of near maxes.
Oh, a 1. I got to reroll.
Reroll.
Do I add it to rolled HP?
Yeah, so if you go into manage character, manage levels, whatever, at the top there's the manage HP. It already adds your constitution, so just add whatever number to whatever the roll section is there.
10.
Ty, yours might already be in like a. Let me see your character for a sec if you're not seeing
Ali,
this.
that's sick.
That's
That's
great.
I'm
nice.
so
We know how to do it.
That's in-
When we built Mogden, it might have just been a. Oh no, there's manage HP. Oh yeah, he's a fixed HP. So we're gonna go change
Manual override.
that.
Wow, this is
Confirm.
maybe the best
back.
party rolls we've ever had. Like everybody together.
Yeah.
After weeks of being a flaming pile of jello, Mogden is rewarded with a natural
See?
12.
The
All
dice
right, Tyler, go ahead and reload your character sheet.
Oh, I'm excited.
Smash cut to the TikTok of Scott rolling a 2
I know.
for the 1,000th time.
I'm above 50 now, gang.
Wow, good for
Oh,
you.
nice.
Must be nice.
What are you now?
What are you at?
46.
Okay, maybe we should all say it. We should all say them.
Yeah?
Let's run through it.
Okay.
Okay, so I rolled a 7 for the first time ever, so I'm at 52. Nenny, what are you at?
I rolled a 10, so I'm at 53.
Wow.
So cute.
I love that we're so
Funny.
close.
I'm at
Andy?
46.
12. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm at 46.
46.
Wizard's life.
12 for Mogden brings you to a.
With that beautiful 12, right at 80.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
That's awesome.
You can't kill me now.
Challenge
I will
accepted.
try. Kev, what are we at?
I rolled a 9 and I'm at 65.
Nice. This
Not
party
too
though.
bad. We're getting a little beefier.
Yeah.
All right. So, with the kind of leveling up process and the various kind of little elements and things that you gather, Ludomir also, for our 4 party members, and a little bit to for both Cal and Mogden, kind of knowing that things are going to continue on this path in some capacity. All 4 of the original party, you guys are paid up the 2 weeks of your salary, so you get 50 gold pieces each. And in a kind of communal chest, he drops 2,000 gold for the 4 of you.
What the fuck?
Mogden and Cal, you've both find themselves with pouches of 300 gold pieces. So Mogden,
Cool.
feel free to add 300 gold pieces to your character.
That would just go in my inventory, would it? Or
Yeah, there's like a little gold section at the top of your inventory, I believe. There's like a currency kind of section.
let me see. Other possessions.
You guys who see character sheets can help better. I don't look at character sheets very often.
It's up at the top where it says inventory, and then there's your weight carried at the very top before your search bar, and then
Got
there's
it.
a bunch of symbols.
Gold. Okay, so I have. You said 300.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, that's like the most he's ever had in his life.
It is it's a significant chunk of change in this world. Like 300 gold is, it's a lot of money in this day and age. And he just kind of, just by the night's rest in this place that he seems to own, if not be renting the entirety of it, like a massive estate. This guy's doing pretty well for money.
Guys, money. For context, Tyler, we did a bunch of math and figured out. So 1 gold a day is like a good salary. So we're like a gold is worth like somewhere between like $150 and $200.
So you just like dropped a year's salary in Mogden's lap.
Yeah.
Single tear comes down his little furry face.
I'll never work again.
We should buy Kev new armor. We can talk about it later.
Didn't we just get him armor?
Well, it's not. It's is it adamantine or is
adamantium? Antique grid armor.
It's very good armor. It's just any heavy armor is going to come with disadvantage to stealth.
Yeah.
So what I'll say here is you guys have the next couple of days to do kind of whatever it is you want. This place is well stocked, and there are people around to like help serve and get things for you to bring to you should there be anything you want. You've got lots of things to like look through and discuss and read through all the shit that you've found. But there's 3 days where Ludomir is kind of hit and miss. He comes and goes. He's dealing with some of the other stuff that he needs to kind of deal with and organize. It checks in every so often. Should you want to reach out to him, obviously he'll come and you can chat with him. But over the next 3 days before this kind of meeting, is there anything you guys are looking to try and accomplish?
Is there any like hair specialists that can get Mogden's like situation taken care of?
With 300 gold?
Will a minor restoration work?
You can certainly go and see some herbalists, see what they can kind of whip up a salve.
Yeah, lather
Go
yourself
back a layer.
an elderberry.
Do I have any stealth advantage because the last time anybody saw me, I was a bear, and now I look like a naked rat?
Huge naked rat.
You do. You have disadvantage actually because now everyone is staring at you as this monstrosity walking the streets.
Boy.
Is there anything we want to purchase or need to purchase?
We don't really know what we're doing next.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what comes next?
Is there?
You guys can do this after you have this meeting as well. Like it's not like you're going to have this meeting and be forced out of the city
and we're done
within 75 seconds. So it was more just like you have these days to do with as you please. You don't have to do anything with them.
Let's get a beer.
A brew.
Can do that.
August doesn't drink because one time he had a bad experience. He can't drink anymore after that.
Get you a little juice box.
He would love that.
Some chocolate milk.
Some carrot juice.
Carrot juice.
If we want to skip to the other thing.
I can, not that we have to go through it right now, if there's anything that needs identifying, I will identify. She's going to start
the one
reading through. Yeah, I'll identify my feather one. Maybe there was some unknown potions as well as like there's a healing potion. There's some unknown stuff. Is there anything else that got found that needs identifying?
Someone could start on the matron's journals.
Yeah.
Could take a peek through the archive of past patients, whatever they were calling them.
Yeah, I was thinking about going through the patient files.
Is there anybody within those that you'd be looking for? Like, are there any names that would be
nothing that like I'm like, oh, I wonder if this person's in here? Like I had the 3 people who I was wondering if they're going to be in there, and we found 2 of them. But it's just more of to see if that sparks anything else that like, oh wait, we did kind of run into that person or whatever through our time, as well as like just trying to get a sense of what's the right word here. Like trying to get the sense of like capacity of this place or what their turnover is. Like how many ship outs have they had? How many people are regularly coming in here? And is it ramping up or is this been consistent? Stuff like that.
Okay, great.
I think it'd be good to know. Oh, sorry, Kyle.
Sorry, can I just get, I'll get an investigation check from Andy for the various elements there, looking into the patient files. DeCrane, if you want to look through the journals for kind of the tinkering elements, the stuff about the tech that she has kind of worked on, go ahead, an investigation for you as well.
Before that, I was going to slip away while everyone was talking and just go and feed on people.
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to go out of the estate, or do you want to feed on the others who are here?
Well, not the crew, if that's what you mean, but like if there are other.
There's the other
Random
7 Fey refugees that are here.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that.
They're dying.
They're not dying. They're okay.
They'll have
Look at the crane like,
They've been in
how y'all
prison
doing?
for a few weeks, but whatever.
Guys,
Yeah.
your stay, you guys good? You're just draining some of their life force.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't hurt. A couple have headaches for a little while, but it's not the end of the world.
Just drink water.
And you are fully fed and stocked up. And you can go ahead and roll investigation for the kind of tech stuff you were looking for. And then Ty, what were you asking?
I was going to see if there was anything, like, obviously I'm going to take at some point the letters that haven't been deciphered yet to my, is it Star Speaker?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, to see if he's got anything to say about that. But I was wondering if there was anything within those papers that might have more information on the state of those individuals that Cal had seen leave the facility. Like, what is actually going on with them? Are they, like you say, kind of zombies now? Do they have magic capabilities? Like, what is the cargo, so to speak, that is being shipped out of Sanctuary?
We'll get an investigation check from you with advantage as you look into that as well.
Cool.
And I'm just going to start just kind of listing stuff off as Andy, what'd you get?
23.
Okay. Kev, what'd you get?
11 total.
Okay. And Ty?
First roll advantage. 12.
Is that advantage or is that your first roll?
That was my second roll. I had a 9 and then a 12.
Okay. That's all good. So, running things back a little. So, Andy, the feather wand is a feathery wand. It's a silver wand topped with a white fluffy feather. Has 3 charges that you can expend to do the following. As a feature called Light as a Feather, you can expend 1 charge to target an object within 30 feet, reducing its weight by 1/4 of its original weight for 1 hour until dismissed. Alternatively, you can spend 2 charges to target a creature within 30 feet and reduce the pull of gravity on them. For the next hour, their jump distance is tripled, and they fall as if they are under the Featherfall spell. There's also a feature called Heavy as Stone. You can expend 1 charge to target an object that you can see within 30 feet and magically increase its weight by 300 pounds. If it's being worn or held by a creature, they must succeed on a dex save or be pulled prone by the sudden weight of 300 pounds, provided that they couldn't stand there. If it's like a dragon, it's not going to change anything. But if it's a person, they're going to get knocked down. This would affect that weight for an hour. Alternatively, you can target a creature. They have to make a Constitution saving throw or have their walking speed reduced by half, and their flight and or swim speeds, should they have any, are reduced to 0. They just plummet. This lasts for a minute, and they can attempt to save from this at the end of each of their turns.
Hey.
You gather 2 of these kind of rainbow-hued vials from the kind of alchemy tools and all the kind of amassed stuff. It is innately magical, and essentially in combination over the next couple of days with all of you looking at these various things, you come to find Elsa has called this raw magic byproduct of magically capable creatures. She calls it animus. So these would be animus vials. And essentially the process that Elsa has devised, which you all read in various pieces through the things that you've been kind of sifting through, is that she has devised a way to collect animus from creatures who have the ability to channel and be a conduit for magic in some capacity. She kind of goes in to explain that those who connect to magic, who cast spells or have the ability innately, like some creatures have the ability to innately cast a spell as a result of their bloodline, when you do this, you're connecting as a conduit to the plane of magic. Wherever magic is as an intangible source of energy, you become a conduit to this energy when you cast a spell. And she realized, and she discovered through an incredibly invasive, torturous experimentation, that this can be physically seen as stimuli to the limbic system in the amygdala. And when it is forced into a state of fight or flight, fight and flight simultaneously, the brain will flush the system with adrenal response and emotional regulation response to try to protect itself. However, in a normal person, in those who bear latent magic or who actively use magic, under the same stimuli, the adrenal and emotional response is there, but there's a third response through the limbic system that calls on this innate survival tool to pull at this channel of magic, this opening the channel to this conduit, to this source of power, to try to protect it as a response to threat. And this is the process that Cal was undergoing. She was forcing him in through torture and through all this kind of thing to be into this state of fight and flight simultaneously. And while in that state, this conduit was open, creating action within the amygdala, and she was basically synthesizing and drawing out raw animus into this kind of form that was distilled down into a vial. And especially potent when drawn from those with innate magic, such as those who are sorcerers or who have it innately within bloodlines. A dragonborn with a connection back to a draconic lineage in some capacity. Certainly sorcerers obviously have a bloodline connection. It is more readily available, it's more potent. But to those who channel through practitioners as a mage, or who have innate and latent power that they aren't even aware of, it can still be drawn out in a more drawn out process. So these vials are raw animus. They can restore spell slots, and as you've seen, can be treated as basically a wild magic surge in a truncated form.
So if you're already a magical being and you were to take a shot of this stuff, does it heighten your magical abilities that you already have, or
it can return magic to you, so you can regain spell slots.
Okay, within the context of the doctor experimenting, kind of milking these beings, so to speak, for this stuff, would they be using it to heighten their magical ability or to give them magic back after it's been used? Like, is there any sort of documentation as to why they want this stuff from these creatures?
Yeah, and there is. It's really comes down to Elsa and the Arcana class, but her endeavor over all of these journals. Her entire purpose, as you've seen laid out here, is eradication. She wants a way to understand magic to its core so that she can eliminate it. She wants to eliminate and at the very least nullify. So by learning how it comes into the body of a practitioner, she's going to reverse engineer a way to stop that process. That's her ultimate goal. And there have been, coming into kind of what DeCrane has found here over these various journals, she's had several breakthroughs in technological advancements on anti-magic tech and the fighting of magic. You find experimentation on a process, a device, an item called null chalk. It is almost like this animus reduced to a powder, turned into a chalk, and can be drawn to create almost like a field of anti-magic, like a barrier through which magic cannot cross. Though it's easy to kind of wipe away as it is chalky, it's not a permanent situation. She has created weapons of arcane warning that are able to detect the presence of magic and alert the wielders to the presence of magic within a certain range, and give them advantage on a supernatural readiness to combat those who have magic. They're up to the level of shields to reflect magic back at casters, and kind of her kind of pièce de résistance, an anti-magic field generator system. They are mobile setups that can be dropped to create anti-magic fields that can create a massive network of anti-magic. When used in a militarized capacity in a controlled space, they can span hundreds of feet of anti-magic to shut down a location. It's tenuous, but better than nothing.
Crazy. She sucks.
Sorry, running things back again. So, Andy, you were looking for patient files in the patient files for people that would stand out. Nobody really jumps out in name, but to your kind of follow-up of like the frequency of people coming and going, is there any kind of like pattern to recognize here? Certainly a pattern that you see groupings of between 5 and 10 show up and are admitted, are approved and put under kind of her purview, rather than a lot of these admitted patients are under what's his name? Lucius something. Archdeacon Lucius something else. Shit. What's his name?
Lucius
Can look
shit.
it up.
How dare you not remember every single NPC's full name that you've ever created?
Oh fuck, man! In my notes, all I have is Archdeacon.
It's just something simple. It's Lucius Day. It's a word. It's just Lucius Day.
There you go.
Archdeacon Lucius Day. Most of the active patients who do not kind of who have not fallen down this path, who don't seem to show sign of magical prowess, are under his purview. Whereas anyone who does have this magic prowess seems to, by and large, not entirely, there are some who are under his and some who are not. Those who fall under her purview, under her kind of patronage, however you want to consider it, primarily end up into the archived section. And they do seem to come in batches. They'll be admitted. They'll be in Sanctuary for anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months before you see an end date. It doesn't seem to be a particularly long process. However, every now and again, you do see some who are in the initial active patient profiles. You recognize the image of that young woman who was in the one cell. You recognize the man with the wings, though he did not have the wings in this kind of like picture of him. Just seems to be like just a young man. You don't see any kind of recognition of this other figure you saw, but like they're still actively and under her purview. Still actively there. And in terms of consistency, like whenever a batch of these figures kind of ends, there is terminated or is sent away in whatever capacity it happens, it seems within the week there's a new batch, a week or two at most. It's been a pretty consistent process now for at least the last couple of months, like 6 months, maybe longer. Has been pretty consistently this pattern, though it has gone back several years where you'd see this pattern just with wider gaps between. You'd see 3 months go by and then a new batch would come. You'd see 6 months go by, then a new batch would come. A month would go by, a new batch, another 4 months. You'd see wider, less controlled. In the last 6 months, maybe 9 months, it's been back to back.
I wonder if that's when the partnership started. They have a new source.
Andy, there was something else you were looking for?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Right? I'll try to remember. It was mostly I was just looking at the patient files to see if we knew anybody or if anyone stood out and anything I could learn from the patterns and timings of things.
There's still other things to be found throughout all these various notes and things. Like, obviously, this is only their first couple of passes, so to speak. Yeah. So we'll revisit as time goes on and can roll further checks just to see if there's more to suss out. And this is to not even accompany or encompass anything about the communication that Mogden is going to go and have basically like kind of translated through Star Speaker. With that kind of in mind, Mogden, do you make your way on one of these days to Sapphire Star? When you reach the Sapphire Star and make your way inside and make your way up to kind of the tower, so to speak, Sentinel is there alone. You don't see Star Speaker or Bishop as you had previously, but you are welcomed in to see Sentinel. And with kind of the documents in hand and, you've been healed, but you've still, as has been kind of noted, you are still visibly marred by your experience.
A bit patchy.
A little bit. She looks you over. I admit I'd grown worried of things. My omen sight did not read things going very well at first, and without any kind of communication back, I had feared the worst at first. It's good to see you back, Martin.
Interesting couple of days, matron. I will say that even despite our capabilities to handle such situations, we found ourselves in rather precarious position at times, and it has been a challenge to say the least, but we have persevered, and I believe that you will take great interest in our findings.
I hope so. I'm glad to hear that your partnership with these members of the Alliance was fruitful, and that though blood may have been shed, none that has been completely lost. That's a blessing.
Oh, to say the least, I believe the blood that has been spilled has only brought this group closer together, and I will say it has been an honor and privilege to have their assistance in this task. It would not have been possible, and I must put ego aside and admit that without their help, I may not have been returning to you. It may have been my last fight, I will admit.
I appreciate your forthcoming of this. It is the mark of strength to admit when you needed assistance, you needed aid, needed help.
They are most curious bunch of warriors, but quite capable in their own right. It is very interesting to observe them and to work amongst them.
The old man does keep interesting company at all times.
I'm beginning to see this for myself, yes.
I wish to speak much on what you have seen, and I see that you have some something for us to look at here. Have you met with him, the Immortal Man?
I had the opportunity to speak briefly with him and to listen in on conversation amongst his colleagues a couple nights ago, and he is a most interesting presence. I have found myself very fascinated with him and his relationship to his associates.
What do you take away from him? What do you see as the man? What do you make of it?
You ask my impression of his personhood, his honesty, his integrity. He seems to be a man of goodwill and a kind spirit. He seems to value his associates, and I get the impression that despite his mysteries, he leads with the intention to do good in this world. He did mention that you had a history, and he did not elaborate on this, but if it is my place to know this, I will listen with great interest, but if not, I do believe he is a good man.
You're not wrong. He is a good man. But even good men have made mistakes in their lives. His mistakes are just further reaching than most others. But your assumptions ring true. His aims and his actions in the many years since have proven that you are correct. His goals are for the greater good, the betterment of Vigil, first and foremost. I will do well to remember this and have you at my side when we meet again. Is there a chance that we may sit with him together?
It would be of his request to meet with you. It was asked of me to broker this arrangement, this meeting, because of this history you speak of, but I assured him that I would speak kindly on his behalf because it was the relationship forged here amongst his associates that has made my mission for our organization possible. And I believe that this should carry some weight amongst us because, as I have said, my life has more or less been carried in the hands of these intrepid individuals over the past few days. And whatever weight and baggage that exists between the two of you, I should say that, a man's mistakes should not mark him for life. I know this well. I know this better than most. I have made many mistakes myself, but I do believe it is what we plan to do with the future and the goodness that we carry in our own hearts that shall define us as we move forward in this life.
Indeed, and well said. Though with a life as long as his, the mistakes amount far further than yours ever will.
Perhaps this is between you and him, and if there is a time that it is appropriate for me to know this, then, as I have said, I will listen and judge accordingly, but for now I see an ally.
I will be bringing it up when we meet.
All right, well, I will be curious to hear these things.
Cards must be on the table, as it were.
Is there enough goodwill to set up a meeting between the two of you? Because he is interested in speaking, and I believe it would serve both our causes to have this meeting.
Most definitely. We must have this meeting for, not if only for the sake of the goodwill of the two partnerships, but what has transpired and what we have found, what we do not know, troubles me more so. This blindness that we have allowed to happen and been unwilling and unwitting to, it is troubling. And if it has befallen him and his as well, something truly grave is afoot. And it is beyond our sight.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong, Sentinel. From what I have gathered from conversation, the fate of our separate parties is more deeply intertwined than I could have possibly imagined. And I believe our story together is only beginning.
Indeed. I have two last things before we may take a look at what you have brought here today. One of the four that were here of his patronage, this figure of otherworldly making. What did you read of him?
He is the one with the lack of diplomacy, yes?
I believe that is astutely correct.
He is a good shot, I will tell you this much. He is short on words, but he seems loyal to his party and to his cause, and has served our group very well on this mission, despite perhaps inciting a couple of less than favorable situations, but he also helped to get out of those same situations, and for this I cannot fault him.
Understood. You read no ill intent in his, not simply his demeanor, in his worldview and his understanding of things that we experience here.
Well, to be honest, I have not shared many words with the man, but there does seem to be a great disdain, perhaps, towards things of magical nature. Is that fair to say, out of game? Is that okay?
He said far worse.
Okay, but that's correct. He's not a fan of magical stuff.
Kev hates fucking magic.
Okay.
Magic.
Despite asking me for magic items and level ups and all these crazy things at every moment, he hates magic.
The crane hates it.
Okay, I don't want to.
That he spent a good amount at the beginning of this campaign with protecting a wizard. Yeah.
I just don't want to be talking out my ass here because, like, I'm picking up on things. But if Morgan's going to be like speaking with authority, I don't want to be saying stuff that's not true. So if that is true, I will jump back in and answer your question with a little more authority on the subject matter.
100%.
He is an interesting individual. Like I said, there hasn't been much opportunity to exchange words or share ideologies these past couple of days, especially in the throes of combat, which have been very interesting. There will be talks about this, I am sure, but I do get the impression that he holds a great deal of, as I have said, disdain towards things of magical nature, and I don't necessarily sense the same kind of hatred towards these things as the individuals that we have been fighting against, but it strikes me that there is a prejudice of some kind that I cannot quite place, but perhaps this is for further investigation. But at the heart of the man, he seems to be committed to his party's well-being, and he served great purpose and effectiveness in our sanctuary outing, so to say.
Well, that is good to know. I would encourage you to learn as much more as you can about this individual. We have many questions. Star Speaker's assumptions and assertions that he was not quite the same as the rest there were indeed true, and they coincided with an aberrant incursion experienced in the realm not so far ago.
This is interesting news to Mogden. Yes, he is very different, I will say this much, but this perhaps explains some of these peculiarities, I think, that maybe you speak of. But I will perhaps keep a covert eye on this man. But he did shoot the doctor with a bow and arrow, and it was perhaps a bit inconvenient at the time, but also very satisfying to watch. And for this, Mogden is satisfied.
Wonderful. I think an astute eye is best kept for the time being.
I will be, yes, covert in my observations.
And to that point, your actions as an observant of the Watchers has been exemplary. And given your pursuit of this endeavor, under my power as the Vigilant here within our sect, I invite you to the rank of Knight, should you wish to partake of it.
This is a surprise and a great honor for me, Matron. I cannot find the words in my heart to express how I am feeling. This perhaps is title I never expected to achieve when I joined this faction, and perhaps still don't feel worthy of. But I am deeply honored, and it would be my great privilege and honor to accept this title on behalf of the Watchers. Thank you very much.
Of course, you've earned it. Do us proud. Be vigilant.
Always.
To that end, you do get a choice of which path of night you get to follow down here. Comes with a boon of its choice. So you can choose between the Knight of the Argent Ward, the Mystic Knight, or the Knight of Secrets. With the Argent Ward, you gain advantage on all perception checks, and your passive perception increases by 5. You can additionally cast Remove Curse once per day without expending a spell slot. As the Mystic Knight, you gain advantage on intelligence and charisma saving throws, and you can cast Detect Magic and Identify each once per day without expending a spell slot. And Knight of Secrets, you gain advantage on checks made taking the search or study actions, and you can cast Speak with Dead once per day without expending a spell slot.
Interesting.
All of these are cool.
All 3 of these are feats that you can choose and take a look at under the Manage Feats section at the bottom of the Features and Traits. If you go all the way down to the bottom of Features and Traits, it's the Feats section. You manage feats. You can go to, it's all alphabetical, so you should see them under at the very bottom of Homebrew. And if anyone here has any opinions, feel free to
please weigh in. Please let me know what you think of these, because I don't want to waste this opportunity here.
With a little bit of the context here, you guys can help out what some of these spells and effects would be most useful for.
I just tagged Kev in a flashback to the wild cards. Minor spoiler for the wild cards. When Kev got Boon of the Swift Seaman before our fight.
Come quickly.
I need to cut that TikTok, actually. Let me write that down.
There we go.
I mean, man, all of those sounded good. Like
Knight of Secrets is interesting.
It depends how you like to think what Mogden wants to do, like in situations.
The Remove Curse is interesting.
Yeah, that
advantage
one was
on perception.
I agree. That kind of jumped out at me too.
That's
supernatural. Cool. Removing a curse might come in handy.
What's the other one? Oh, my tablet froze.
There was Knight of Secrets, which gave me advantage on checks made when taking the search and study actions, which, could take that or leave that. Whispers of the Grave, you will always have the Speak with Dead spell prepared and can cast it without expending a spell slot. Once you cast it.
Hey, look, a dead guy. I want to ask him 3 questions?
5 questions.
5 questions. And you just ask dead bodies questions and they answer in creepy form.
That's kind of cool.
See in the D&D movie. It's that.
Just kill someone and then interrogate them. And how many? You can do that once a day, or you can do that as much as you want.
You can do all of these spells are once a day, reset on long rest, unless you have spell slots, but you don't. So
okay.
What was the other thing with the secrets?
Advantage on search and study actions. So it's advantage on basically most checks.
And then the other one...
would search entail investigation?
Search is more your wisdom check, so insight, medicine, perception, survival. Study is arcana, history, investigation, nature, or religion.
So you get advantage on all of those checks?
Wow.
Ooh, that's really good.
That's on... And that's just...
That was the secrets one.
Knight of Secrets. Yeah. So the search action is when you take the search action, you make a wisdom check to discern something that isn't obvious, such as insight to detect a creature's state of mind, medicine to detect an ailment or cause of death, perception for concealed creatures or objects, survival for tracks or food detection, and study would be when you take the study action, you make an intelligence check to study your memory, a book or a clue, arcana to learn about spells, magic item, eldritch symbols, history for historical events, investigation for ciphers, riddles, gadgets, nature for learning about terrain, flora, weather, and religion for obviously religious shit.
That's interesting.
So it'd be advantage on a lot of civic checks and a spell that is, the chance to to speak with not even just people that you've killed, because there is like an element of the fact that like there's a little bit of the dead don't have to answer. So like if you kill, a cultist or something, they don't have to speak to you. They don't have to answer you directly because you just fucking killed them.
Right.
They only know what they've known in life. But that can be super useful for like in the D&D movie of like, fuck, we're trying to find this relic. Hey, we go to the graveyard where this relic was last seen, this big battle. We dig up all the bodies. Okay, this guy, hey, where did you see the Helm of Disruption? Oh yeah, Greg had it. And then you learn all kinds of stuff through that.
Or like you find a victim.
You find a victim of something. You find someone else. Like you could have spoken to some of the dead in Sanctuary or in or around Sanctuary, and maybe learned something from them. Maybe a guard who was killed by the troll and learned about another way into Sanctuary. You ask them, hey, is there another way into Sanctuary? Like, who knows?
That's
cool.
That's pretty helpful. Like Nettie and I are pretty observant perception wise.
Okay.
I think like a bunch of us are, but we're all shit at investigation. Like you're the only one who's good at it.
So that's something then. The other thing was like for the one with perception, that's the Knight of the Argent Ward, you got the supernatural warding, which says you have the remove curse spell, preparing to cast it without expending a spell slot. So is a curse specific to
a curse is like a specific condition tied to certain spells and certain effects. Like lycanthropy is a curse. If you got bit by a werewolf, that's a curse that you could remove via this spell. Same with vampirism. Same with certain cursed objects. You will be cursed by attuning to an object that you don't know is cursed. Suddenly you're stuck with this curse and you can't unattune from it, or you become a murderous psychopath. And the only way to get out of that is remove curse, or in some cases, there's other options to kind of break the curse, but remove curse pretty much covers the vast majority of things that are going to be curses.
That's kind of cool. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, that jumps out at me, but like, what do you guys think here? You have a say in this.
There's not really any bad choices. It's more of like now that you understand what each of those things are, what do you think like speaks to the way Mogden? Yeah, like, do any of them jump out at you as like things he wished he could do or something like that? Right? Like,
yeah.
Also, just like because we haven't really talked about the Mystic Knight features of advantage on intelligence and charisma saving throws. Obviously, again, it's just advantage. Most of this is like you get advantage on a thing, you get a spell. Like those are the obvious features here. Intelligence and charisma saving throws are the least likely saving throws to come up against. But when you come up against them, you want to succeed because they have the most damaging effects.
I have a -1 on charisma as it is, so
having advantage, does that do much for you? It could.
That's a good
if you have a -1, at best is a 19 in the best case scenario. But could also be a straight fucking 3 that you roll, or a 10 -1, because it's not like having advantage gives you a better, on average, it's like a +5 to the outcome if you have advantage on things. And same with intelligence saving throws. That one comes with 2 different spells you can cast. However, there are also 2 spells that your resident wizard has pretty much always at the ready.
I do have those. Okay. I do have those as rituals, so I can cast them. It just takes 10 minutes. He gets the instant. He doesn't have the ritual option, but so he would have the instant detect magic, instant identify. Very useful. In 1,000 different scenarios, but we're probably their first level spells compared to the other 2, which are 3rd level spells. So there's more power to the remove curse or speak with dead option.
I feel like Knight of the Argent Ward is sort of like speaking to Mogden, but I feel like the Knight of Secrets could be useful to the group at some point here.
Don't think about us. Think about
Muddy Bear. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, this is tough. Sorry that I'm taking so much time here.
It's all good.
Yeah, we can add a lot of it, so don't worry about it.
I can add a little bit of like in-world watcher context if you like. Maybe that'll help sway things.
Sure.
So the three paths that are kind of laid forth here. The Knight of Secrets is more of your classic like watcher in the shadows. You're very classically more roguish. You're less of a combat focus. You're more of the investigator. You're a detective. Knight of Secrets. The Argent Ward is kind of more designed as the in the fight. Argent Ward being like the silvery moon protection of like fighting against like supernatural threats, fighting against shapeshifters and monsters. So you're better to see those threats coming with the advantage of perception. And the remove curse is these creatures inflict curses as part of like their thing. So having that protection from the supernatural is very innately tied to the actions of facing things head on as a knight of the Watchers.
I think that's a
Mystic Knight is kind of a Mystic Knight is right in the middle of the two.
I'm feeling called to the Knight of the Argent Ward.
Do it. Do it. I think it's a good call. As the guy who made all three, I like it.
So just add
Removes
those.
curse is really rad.
Yep. You just get the
Very cool.
the feat as part of your promotion here.
Very cool.
All right. So as we jump back in, a couple of days have passed here in Karden, as you guys have kind of, for the most part, holed up in this kind of estate and dug into the various writings and musings and elements of Dr. Elsa Algaros. If you'd like to roll to see if there's anything more you kind of sussed out of those documents and things over the next day or two, feel free to make another investigation check, or we can kind of jump into that afterwards. But as Mogden confirms to the rest of the party, a meeting with Sentinel and the Immortal Man and the six of you, including Cal, will be set for the afternoon on 3 days past when you've returned. So the 16th of Endo. Did you ask out, Leah, were you going to go for a roll there?
Yeah, I mean, I'll always fucking roll an investigation check for reading shit.
Get some lore.
Is there anything specific you're looking for, or?
I think it takes like a day or two, but she'll probably eventually actually attack the active journal, which is probably the scariest.
Okay.
I will check that one. And maybe with... Oh, okay, actually, that's pretty good. Maybe with our fucked up sense of time, if we're like still a little jet lagged with our own day, I'll take it like on a day where it's not, where the sky's clear, to make herself feel better about reading these scary things, like find a roof or find something where she can get up under the stars when it's probably too dark to be doing this.
Yeah, the estate has several balconies and kind of upper terraces and patios that it's a pretty sprawling place. You'd be all right to find a couple of spots.
Okay, that's a 21.
Okay. I'll also note that Mogden, the documents were handed off from Sentinel to Star Speaker, so they will come to this kind of meeting with translation, if that's cool with you.
Convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Efficient.
And then, was there anything else anyone else wanted to kind of look or do last checks? Go ahead. Ty?
Yeah. I wanted to just see if, again, there was anything in there that had any further writings or descriptions of what the groups leaving the facility were, like given the state that Cal kind of described them in.
Yes. Go ahead and investigation check with advantage for you.
All right. That's an 11 on the first one. Come on, hot dice. Let's go. 14.
Okay. And sorry, Leah, what was it that you were specifically kind of looking for? Just more information, or was there anything specific?
I think I was just looking at her most recent journal to try to see. Yeah, the one that we found like actively in the... which I imagine was where a lot of the stuff that you already talked about come from, like the brain stuff and things like that.
Yeah, there's a good chunk of that was focused on like her most recent endeavors in Animus production and Animus collection, so to speak. But they've also, in the last couple of years, developed essentially like a blood test for potential latent magic or active magics. So this has become protocol at a place like Sanctuary, at a place like Terminus, and any figure who is kind of detained under Arcana class control goes through this like testing procedure to find out whether they are magically inclined or not, which easily leads them down one path or another. So something of note for you now to know that they have this capacity to tell whether you have magic or not. If they, given enough time for them to run this kind of test. I think at least at some point, as this is something that both you and Mogden are both kind of looking at the same kind of journal for this information. So over the next day at various points, sharing information back and forth, you both come to find a relatively one of the most recent passages, about Elsa's pursuits. And some of this is referring to things that you don't yet know, as if they are, as if picking up a conversation midway. She's referring to this new project that she's kind of working on for the Pale King, she says. That there is the latest shipments of ferrous gas has headed off to the tower, and she's like adding in notation to herself of like remind to send or to renew batch of inoculations, and all this, kind of just a note for herself to take that away. With the 21, Andy, that sparks like a memory of seeing the word ferrous and running back to learn. She's kind of devised this thing called the ferrous gas grenade. She's perfected this airborne toxin that is specific target to those of Fey ancestry. It is a cold iron gas that can prove deadly to those of Fey ancestry.
Is that what she chucked at us?
I was just thinking that. Is that what she chucked at us? Wow. Nettie, that would have wrecked us. Oof.
So would it have only fucked with the two of them?
No, it'll still fuck with anybody who's in it. It's still a gas grenade, but it's just like it'll do a little bit of cold, a little bit of poison damage. However, it is toxic to those of the Fey persuasion. With the 21, you can learn that creatures who are of the plant or Fey creature type or who have the Fey ancestry trait have disadvantage on the initial saving throw within the gas. So it's a con save within the gas. On a failure, they suffer the 2d6 cold damage and the 2d6 poison damage that come from the initial gas. However, they become poisoned, and while poisoned, they must succeed on a Constitution saving throw at the start of each of their turns or suffer a point of exhaustion. Essentially, this gas lingers for a minute and will slowly, within 6 rounds, kill you.
So clearly operating outside the Geneva Convention here.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
So she was prepping these to send to the Pale King, not as a. It's not like a. What's
this has been sent?
Okay, it's not like a. Hey, I'm making this just in case you fuck with me. Tedious relationship. Like it seems like a pretty solid relationship. These are given to him so that he can fight the other side.
You read this as like. The way she's writing this was excited at the opportunity to work on a project like this and see its effects in real time, to do wartime experimentation without the loss of her own subjects or actually going to war with somebody else. She gets to just test her product in another person's war and suffer none of the consequences, and she's quite thrilled at the opportunity.
Sick puppy, this lady.
With the inoculations, though, you realize that there is a way to take a thing to become immune to the effects, which is being given to the Archlord and his subjects. It gives immunity for 24 hours.
I feel like there was another word that I wrote down. I was like, wait, I think we fucking heard that before. No, I don't remember. I feel like we've heard the word animus before. But I don't remember what. I'll keep going through my notes. Oh, also, I was going through my notes, the one that Scott was talking about, where we were learning about the like 3 words, the roots or whatever.
Root Sanctuary Tower.
And I found 2 things. One, I wrote connection to Ursa, ? On there. Don't know why I wrote that. And also that there was a pearl of portal detection. Who has that?
I think Allie.
I have it.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure it's on someone's character sheet.
Yeah, I ended up with it a while ago.
I just want to make sure it was on
Some
someone's
reason.
character sheet.
Yeah, no, I have it.
Within that section of the journal, is there anything written that would suggest how to create that compound, that inoculation? Like, is that something that could be replicated by our friends for our benefit down the road if we were to encounter this gas grenade?
The inoculation doesn't have its full formula written out here as far as has been found, but you have a lot of stuff to like go through and search for that. If you're looking for that specifically, we could attempt to do that as well. However, both of you together in amongst all this talk of what is being sent to Silgoth, to the tower, a shipment of these Ferris gas grenades and inoculations, but more prominently and importantly are these animus control subjects, as she calls them. After overloading kind of testing on the marked kind of innate animus producers, Elsa found a way of exerting control over animus, and she through this series of kind of testing phases and an increase in a steeper increase in test subjects, as you saw replicated in the patient files, she's determined what is animus coupling, like chokers, which she says basically to empower the animus reactor. These essentially surgically install connection points in the back of the neck, head, and or back to connect to the target's spinal column, adrenal glands, and amygdala, to force the target's innate or suppressed animus connection to be tapped into and turn them into a conduit of power.
So they're batteries with these things on?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
One last question, Kyle. Was there anything in the last pages given that she was like talking to Cal about Ursa? Is there anything about she was jotting down from what he was saying from Ursa? Like any points she was putting together there?
I would say with the talking points that she was trying to go through about Ursa, it was less that she was like writing down at that point what she knew and what she was hearing from Cal, because Cal really wasn't giving her anything to kind of go off of. Realistically, one, Cal's going to try not to say anything as much as he can, but two, he doesn't know shit about how this works, what she is, what she does, so he couldn't have told her if he wanted to. But you see a lot of like musings and ideas and concepts of like what is so special about her, why are they so interested in her, is written a couple of times. There's a lot of speculation over like connections to devilry or demonic possession potentially. There's like the musings of like what would be the dwarvish equivalent of like spawn of Satan, like is she an Empyrean, like a child, an offspring of an evil deity of some kind? There's all this kind of speculation, but no answers.
Yeah, she doesn't know yet. Okay, good. I have more things, but I'll wait because I don't want to take over the whole thing here.
Okay, there's a lot of stuff that you guys have unearthed. With the final kind of the day that it's time to kind of set up this meeting at around noon. You guys are kind of led down into the Queen's Gambit, a familiar stomping grounds from your first meeting with the Immortal Man, though new to Mogden and to the Watcher crew. The Queen's Gambit is this semi-exclusive, very much like an old like bar tavern, but on the upper end of aristocracy, rich woods and leathers and a cigar smoke haze, as there are some people kind of milling about, but notably a thinner crowd and certainly further away from any of the entrances as you guys make your way in. That is, instruction has been left to keep the distance, and if not, don't even show up to the Queen's Gambit today. And you follow Ludomir up to the kind of conservatory level where you had previously had your first meeting with him. Without Isaac here, he goes through the process of ensuring the safety and sanctity of the communication to happen within here. You watch the various rooms and wards begin to fill the space in the noted little spots and places to make sure that nothing can be overheard or seen within from untoward eyes before Sentinel and Star Speaker and Mogden, if you wanted to be with them or with these guys, it's up to you, make their entrance in here and are welcomed in by the Immortal Man. With the two of them, the five of you, Cal and Ludomir, you all kind of sit around very kind of fellowship style in this kind of conservatory of tropical kind of plants on a brilliant sunny day, in a loose kind of circle in the middle of this kind of stone courtyard of this interior conservatory. With everyone gathered, Ludomir stands.
I thank you all for coming in, Sentinel, Mogden, and the Star Speaker for being here today to cross the bridges that we have set between our two factions, of which I recognize my doing in creating that rift. I understand your misgivings and your mistrust, but I assure you that my centuries of actions and endeavors and intentions are for the good of Vigil and the people inherent. What we face currently is a threat that this world has faced before, and we did not defeat it. We did not fall to it, but we did not defeat it. And it is unlikely that we will be able to win via subterfuge once more. The enemy is within already. My allies here have faced its herald, its various spawn, and already it is worming its way within the inner workings of the very heart of this world. The time for secrets is behind us. The time for prejudices, for falsehoods, is no more. The Watchers and the Alliance must be allied.
Can I do a vibe check on how that's going down with the others?
Yeah, absolutely.
Insight?
Yes, please.
Oh, pretty good. 23.
Are you looking specifically just for Sentinel, for both Sentinel, Star Speaker, everybody? What are you looking for?
I think Star Speaker, kind of sensing they're like the leader here, trying to get a read on how they're reacting to
Sentinel's the leader.
Oh, Sentinel is? Oh, great. Then Sentinel. Logged in with Sentinel.
Starspeaker to redescribe. Starspeaker is the white-skinned, white-scaled dragonborn with the kind of scars that are kind of icy blue, very much like a kind of sage style figure. Sentinel, you see more of a somewhat more regal-bearing, dark-skinned elf. Though you can see like silvery hair. Denoting a significant age, as elves can live for a very significant time, and gray or silver their hair at a significant age. With a 23, their vibe, as it were, is difficult to ascertain as part of the whole thing of kind of the obfuscation, the warding of their minds. However, she is struggling to stop her face from giving things away. You read an early kind of disdain that softens towards the end.
Okay, good. Okay.
Is the best I'll say.
And he's doing okay. Ludo's doing okay so far. That's good.
Doing his thing. Without having to go through the whole spiel, as we've kind of hit some of the pertinent points, Ludomir kind of goes around and hits the kind of the details and the recaps, kind of what you guys have been through, or even throws it to some of you to recap what was seen in Sanctuary most recently, what you've been through. As he throws it to your group to kind of speak to Sanctuary. Is there any one of you that would kind of take point on that? Mogden included, obviously, as you were there.
Yeah, I mean, I could speak on behalf of my faction. You guys are Ludomir's peeps, so I don't know if that is, grounds for you to represent your faction to the Watchers, or if it makes sense for me to speak to the Watchers as somebody who was embedded with you on this.
I think it makes sense. Yeah, I think it makes sense for you to, like, it was your mission. We were just accompanying you.
Yeah.
You to take point, and we can fill in the gaps where there's knowledge that we have, or like I can very easily fill in the magic side of things.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You can jump in at any time. So I guess Mogden will turn to Ludomir and suggest, I will be happy to explain to my colleagues what we have seen in these past days at Sanctuary. As per my initial reconnaissance, we encountered, as we expected, a carriage on the Salvation Road towards Sanctuary, and after a brief altercation with the pilot, you might say, of this carriage and his associates, we encountered the individuals that Ludomir was to speak to upon our return, and we then carried on after hiding wreckage of cart, and Augustus bravely assuming identity of horse, we proceeded to enter Sanctuary after a small kerfuffle, you might say, with a gargoyle. Inside, we witnessed no shortage of horrors, and amongst these things, we saw automatons that had been utilized as guards and warriors. We saw a very dark and I mean dark in spirit series of dungeons and facilities for torture, and the practice of what we have described in our findings of these documents and journals. And Cal here is probably someone who can speak more personally to what actually goes on procedurally speaking inside of this place. But we did encounter the doctor, and while we did our best to remove her from the board, she did escape, but we did not leave empty-handed. And again, with no shortage of adversity upon our exit, we were in fact able to leave and safely return with all the documents that we have shared with you in the past couple of days. How am I doing?
That's
Pretty good.
really good. Super concise, punchy. I think you nailed it.
I would just kind of pepper in every now and then, every time, like really emphasizing the Iconoclast involvement, how much more involvement there was than anyone thought, showing the seals, if necessary, producing the giant stack of documents.
Sentinel kind of appreciative of Mogden's kind of explanation there, and then of the further kind of documents. She does kind of take a look, and obviously Star Speaker gets a little bit more curious as well, and she kind of points to him
As, yes. As part of Ironclaw's delving within this sanctuary, and of course with your party here, these letters were found within Dr. Algeros's person, and coded within a Glom key cipher. I have deciphered them over the last few days here, and I will highlight the pertinent elements. Primarily, it would seem that Dr. Algeros's and Archlord Silgath have been made a mutual acquaintance. Remains unnamed through these documents, but the two were introduced and found their aims aligned and could be mutually beneficial if they were allied. In short, they agreed to meet, and from this meeting began providing one another intel and collaborating on common aims. Elsa's primary contribution seems to be on tactics in the warfront, and the Archlord appears to be fighting in the Fae. These tactics and specialized armaments were provided break every humanitarian law and code of honor of civilized people. She seems to be gleeful to that point. He begins to kind of go over the Ferris gas grenade, which you guys have already kind of sussed out of your own. But a secondary aim appears to be a request from Silgoth to aid in his endgame, so to speak. Star Speaker continues as he kind of gets to one of the letters. Silgoth writes that they have taken the Starless Citadel, a tower of liminal boundaries once held by a villain of our world and of the Unseelie world. Nevertheless, within this citadel, there exists a device of some unique transmutative power that he is hoping, with interest, Elsa in repurposing to lead for her to lead this endeavor with full access to his court and to his resources. And she accepts with a retinue and departs for the north of Baern.
Anyone is feel free to go ahead and make a history check if you wish.
Do you get advantage on those now, Ty?
Let's just have a look here for history.
Which one did you take again? I forget.
The Knight of the Arden Ward. I don't believe I do.
No, you have advantage on perception with that one.
Yeah.
Dirty 20.
Nice. Oh, 17 actually.
Okay.
Nice.
I'll do
I
my
had 0.
shits and giggles.
I get it.
14.
14. The 14 and 17 come up a little dry. This sounds cool, but doesn't kind of lead you anywhere. With a 20, it still doesn't give you a whole lot. But there's enough tales of the shepherds who avoid the starless north to kind of give you the angle in of this was once the domain of the Lord of the Withered Hand, an entity, an evil, dark lord who ruled over a realm in the north of Baern called Ramzad. Starspeaker continues. After an unstated period of time, the communication crews continue to report the testing phases and a request for a steep increase in test subjects, but they seem to be in a successful pattern, and they perform a test of this, what they call an animus reactor. They need more batteries, they call them, to do it, as they burnt out the batteries that they had in the first test.
Just to give some context before anyone gets curious, batteries are absolutely people. They're the people who go into that place and come out not themselves.
Cal described this, yes, in his observations of individuals leaving the facility. These are animus control subjects, I believe. You referred to them in documents?
I didn't know that they were batteries necessarily, but they were under the control of a good doctor there, and it was they were zombie would be the best kind of way to describe them. They just kind of followed without needing any kind of chain or manacle to do anything. They were glazed over. They didn't have any of their personage anymore. They weren't themselves. I saw some of it similar with some of the others that I was held with, but some didn't end like that. Some ended bad. Most ended bad, in fact. Whatever process it is that she was trying to get them in that state, it ain't good. It was something she gave everyone. She made us all kind of watch. Fill them with something, watch changes, and she would record all the changes and how it affected us and how it affected people. A lot of people died in minutes. Some lasted a little longer, but they were in awful pain. That's what happened for Glass.
Not to change the subject, but would a citadel also be like a tower?
Most definitely, yes.
So that works with our previous note. Referencing Roots, Sanctuary, Tower.
Seems we have found their mark. It seems also the most likely location for where our young ward has been taken.
Ludomir kind of explains. Actually, did you guys tell that? You guys didn't say anything to Sentinel and the team about Ursa when you first met. I don't believe.
I don't think it came up.
I very specifically said I did not say anything because I was trying to keep it secret.
Well, too late.
Forgive me if you have already heard any of this before, but my associates here, when they were first under our first endeavor together in the town of Grill, where they met Master Calzuri here, encountered a young girl by the name of Ursa Dever. She was in possession of an incredible power, but was also under a curse or control, infected by something. It would seem to align with some of the things that we have seen in these void spawn in the herald and spawn of Hadar in the days since. Something about the power that she holds it at bay. But every now and again she has no power to control it, and it does take over. The concern, obviously, is one, her safety and sanctity, but should the power that she wields, he looks at Sentinel, a cosmic power. Should it reach the control of this herald, it will hasten our end significantly. Exile, fallen, will be the least of our worries.
Did you say, Kyle, sorry, that this tower is in, you said the Starless North? Is that how you referred to it?
The Starless Citadel, some of the stories that Leah's people, the shepherds, would tell would be to warn them of the Starless North. This kind of tip of Baern, which you would be relatively
That's my homeland. I'm from Baern. Yeah.
You would be familiar with the term Ramzad, not the Starless Citadel specifically, but you would have heard similar tales of the Starless North. This tip of Baern, where it breaches out into the north and becomes like a classic Arctic where there's no sun for 30 days kind of situation. It is full of horror stories and nightmare tales. All the spooky stories come from Ramzad.
So I would know of this place, or at least like what they're describing. I would know of that area.
You would recognize Ramzad and the inherent fear within, not the citadel itself, but that part doesn't necessarily matter. The location of Ramzad is enough.
And that's where the citadel is.
That's where it seems to be, yeah.
For the purpose of this edit, should I speak to that?
Feel free.
No, you don't have to go back or retroactive anything. It's just good to know for the future that you do know where that is.
Okay, because I thought I heard you say Baron, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure that's where I'm from.
It is.
It's my hometown.
That's my hometown. All right, cool. Thank you.
Yep. He Ludomir pauses for a moment and continues.
I currently have an agent south of Prostja, tracking a caravan that is prepared for a deeper winter expedition that has set off from the Great Keep. I surmise that this pale court and this retinue of Dr. Argyros have found their way into Ramzad, have taken the Starless Citadel. And that is where we will find young person Devereaux.
Well, let's go. We should go save her.
This Ramzad is area I've heard many stories of. It is north of my homeland in Baern, where I grew up and where I was raised as a warrior of a tribe. It is not a kind place. It is a dark place. It is an evil place. We will undoubtedly face great trial, and it is there is no doubt. She is suffering, and for this I agree that we must go there.
We're waiting for.
You have my sword.
Sentinel kind of puts her hand up and stands. I appreciate that this young ward of yours is in danger. And of course I do not wish her harm, nor do I wish that she remains there. I think that it is a wise partnership to send our representatives here to the north. But they cannot go unprepared. They cannot go unprepared into what we know will be a hellscape of ice and death.
No, of course. But in truth, they must, so they shall. Sentinel, you and I know that we are not the front line of this. We have a different charge. And I would encourage this partnership between our two factions. And when all of this is done, we have laid bare all that we know and have. All the threats of exile, the threats of the coming dark hunger, the failures of the past, and how the war of this Fey Lord and our Arcanoclast and the Dark Hunger intertwine. But we know too that we have been blind to all of it for how long we do not know. Somehow, some way we have been, our divining network has not had tell of this until we have lost our signals. You said Eros has been blind to this. It is true.
Sentinel just kind of looks down at Star Speaker and Mogden for a moment. Yes. We don't have a good explanation as to where and how the Redeemer is unable to communicate with us, but we have lost communication with the Redeemer. We have attempted to reach. We know the elements have made it through. The Redeemer does not speak to us directly as I speak to you here. It is only through vision and omen and sign that we pick up what they intend for us, what path they leave for us to follow. It is in faith that we trust that they will lead us on the right path, that we will be that bulwark that Vigil can stand behind and we hold the shield up for when aberrant threat or otherworldly presence rears its ugly head. But I don't have a good explanation. I don't know what happened. Somehow the communication between our realm and the upper planes, the divine, scrambled, jammed.
How long ago did that interruption happen?
By the best records that we have to kind of go back, we reviewed our aberrant incursions. There have been an uptick in the last 6 to 9 months, and our warnings began to falter shortly thereafter.
Kind of the same timing as when they expedited getting more and more people to Sanctuary.
And when our divining network first failed. It would seem that these things are happening. We know that there is some connection to the Ashen Waste. And there was a reference within some of what has been spoken of the letter that my retinue have found on the pale court in the underworld of a barrier of light. Some have referenced place in the barrier around the Ashen Waste.
Sentinel kind of nods in understanding.
Somehow I believe that this is intrinsically tied to this as well. Again, I do not understand how. But the luminescence barrier that holds back the darkness of the Ashen Waste is somehow through it, by it. What was meant to contain simply this approach of the darkness seems to be containing more and obscuring more than just our mortal sight. What we had understood to be simply a barrier for a permeable barrier seems to be a protection and anti-divine sight. I know, it's very scary.
Sorry. I panicked.
But the threat of Augustus
So loud. I'm sorry. 1 second.
I'm sorry.
God, I
My
kicked him
heart's
out. Sorry.
racing. My heart's racing.
Take a moment, please.
Let me just go. Let me walk for a second.
None of these threats, all of these threats pale in comparison to one of my kind falling to the hands of a herald of Hadar. I believe Ursa Deverald to be the new bearer of the cosmic force of creation. As I am the steward of the path of the soul.
Did he say soul?
Hmm?
Okay. Cool.
He, to Augustus.
Do you have on you the crystal that you said Ursa made for you?
Yeah, let me pull it out.
And I pull out the little. I think she made us a bunny rabbit.
She made you 2 bunny rabbits, yeah.
She made you a bird.
Yeah.
I think no, because they both got bunnies, and then they were fighting over which one looked
Oh, yeah.
better. I don't remember.
It's either a bird or a bunny. She was very new to it.
I think she did a bad job with Scots, from what I remember. She rolled poorly.
It's a bunny, but it looks like a bird because it's so poorly done.
The wings are kind of like the ears.
It's one of those, like, illusions.
Yeah.
What is
Flip it
that?
one way, it looks like a bunny, and this side looks like a bird.
He, Ludomir kind of takes it from you for a moment, and he kind of looks on it very fondly. And you hear him say something that, Andy, the best you can tell is celestial, but it's not. It's like all of you hear this single uttered word, but it is like it's unsettling. It's almost like screechy at first. Like it's off-putting to hear. But Andy, you can hear through almost like a dialect of celestial, sort of. You can't understand what it says, but like it's like you have heard enough French to understand a little bit of Spanish, sort of connection. You watch as he says this, and in his hand he lets loose, and the bunny hops, and it takes life. It begins to hop around the room. It's hopping around the floor in front of all of you. And then, because we don't know what it is, it swings.
It's a bunny.
That's so cool.
And it begins to fly around the room. Yeah, go ahead and make a dexterity check.
Oh, man. I can't lose this.
No pressure.
Nat 20, motherfuckers.
You grab hold of it out of the air, and it doesn't fight you. It doesn't struggle. If anything, as you kind of cup it close, it just kind of looks up with you, and just like you can see like energy kind of focus in on 2 eyes that weren't there, that kind of blink a little bit, and it kind of gives a little smile. You just see a little crack form in this little smile, and it just begins to take on a little shape and kind of nuzzle into like your finger. And it just kind of hops out and begins just kind of flying off a little bit, and does just kind of circles the group a little.
I'll call them Jade.
It's technically Emerald, but
Jade.
my friend Forge used to do this. I would recognize it in him, though it has been a long, long time since I've seen it. It is unmistakably the same. So I know it is true that the force, the manifestation of imagination, creation, has found a new host.
Sentinel is going to stand. You've said a lot of the right thing today, Ludomir. And yet, forgive me for holding misgivings and mistrust in my heart. I cannot shake the memory of what has happened. And they do not know. They don't know what that power can do in the wrong hands, the wrong time. So if you say that there are no more secrets, there are no more lies, there are no more falsehoods, then lay bare what has happened in the past. And should you do so, in truth, my allies, gestures to Mogden, will see your allies to Ramzad, to the Starless Citadel, as a Knight of the Watchers. And I will go with you, as you say, to spread the word of what has come. We must make way from Ser Eden. Ludomir nods.
This is not exactly how I had hoped to explain this part of our history. I have told you I was young when I witnessed the howling skies and the swarming spawn. When I and my allies, the Prismic, stood against the World Eater. But it was not... It was not an instantaneous victory, nor one of heroic battle. We devised a plan to utilize the power that we bear. The 7 of us bear the powers of cosmic creation. Together, fundamental forces that govern the inner workings of our universe. Not by choice, seemingly by chance, have we been chosen, gifted these powers, responsibilities. And in the days of the incursion, when all hope was seemingly lost, in the depths of the Dark Age, we attempted to use this power to save Vigil from the Dark Hunger. In the final hours, we created a device called the Genesis Crate. Before its creation and its subsequent activation would have been the last hours of Vigil. And words will not do the decisions made within this time justice. I had hoped to properly show you the gravity of this moment, but time has not permitted us to do so, as she has always fought. So I endeavor to show you.
He kind of strides into the middle of the room with a chair, adjusts his kind of cuffs, unbuttons a collared kind of dress coat and shirt that he was wearing. And you do see beneath the layers these hundreds of scars. Healed, long healed, pale, glossy skin, but still very evident. From the open collar, he removes a chain and amulet that was tucked beneath, sets it on the floor in front of him. Notably, it's not unlike the one that Mogden wears. He removes all rings from his hands, joins the amulet into kind of an amassed group.
Trust that never a day passes where I do not think on what I shall impart upon you here. I stand by what has happened in my history, and what was in my control, the successes and the failures. It is a part of our world and my history that I now share with you, because you need to know. Sentinel, would you be so kind?
Kind of sits down and touches at his temples. She steps forward, kind of gives a nod.
The answers you have sought, that which our allies must now know, it will not be easy to receive. And to all of you in this room, to know this will hurt. To experience this, you will feel pain. If you wish to leave, I give you this last moment to do so. With no shame. Trust all will be well in the end. But what you know here cannot be unknown.
I'll just hold Nettie's hand, a little paw.
As everyone kind of holds their position, he looks up at Sentinel again with a nod. She brings her hands to the side of his head, and you watch as her eyes kind of slide backwards and go into that very classic storm, brilliant white, and you watch a silvery white light begin to enshroud both of them before connecting from her hand through his head to her other hand through the temples. It begins to kind of coalesce and rise above both of them into the middle of the room. You feel darkness just close in around the entire room. Everything focuses in into this one point. You recognize a similar process as what you undertook when you visited this Sapphire Star. But this is clearly something more potent to this, piercing through layers and through a longer history than what you had presented. In the gathering energy above the pair, you watch 7 bands of colorful energy rise, and Ludomir begins to speak.
The cradle is a device forged of pure cosmic power. A piece of each of the prismic society went into its creation.
You watch the bands begin to encircle one another in a loose knot akin to an armillary sphere. Red, green, blue, purple, golden yellow, silvery gray, and black bands spin rapidly around one another until they are naught but a bright mass of light that illuminates the entire room with a flash.
To harness the powers of universal creation, more powerful than any one god or source the world has ever conceived.
The bands become a multi-hued metallic. And in the empty core of this kind of open sphere, you see a rainbow ball of gas, clouds, stars, and energy. A mini star system or universe contained within these massive rings.
In the final moments, we were to banish or imprison Hadar, cutting him from his spawn forever and sealing him away.
All of this kind of shifts and moves, and you just see a monstrous battlefield. Thousands of soldiers of all peoples of Vigil. Swarms of tarry black monstrosities just swarming over people, consuming and rolling through to the next, just taking dozens of people in a swath, consuming and congealing them in a tarry ball. You see more similar kind of soldier type figures as you have faced in Brundrakiln. You see massive hulking monstrosities of that same tar leaping and shattering the earth beneath, and dozens of soldiers fall beneath them. In the sky, you can see figures flying. There are winged angels, devas, and planetars battling against these monstrous flying beasts of the same kind of dark energy, and higher still. The sky is a warbling mess of black with a beating, burning red center. Innately, primal fear grips at you as you know that Hadar looks at you, even through an image. It is an unsettling fear that strikes to your core.
We had hoped to seal him away, however, his immutable form and symbiotic infestation did not give us confidence that we could be successful in full. But another path was placed before us. With the powers of universal creation in our hands, we could divert our attention away from the entity of Hadar and more to the sanctity of Vigil. What if we could remove Vigil from the same planar dimension as the Dark Hunger? A universe of our own creation, safe from his gaze. A worldwide demi-plane, impenetrable by outward forces, with the nature of our inexistence within a shared universe. You watch this shift from a massive battlefield, thousands, to a small room. Can't quite make out much more than the kind of shadows and silhouettes of 7 figures. A hulking kind of mass of armored knight, a man, a couple of more humanoid-sized normal figures, all kind of one kind of shifting with energies, bouncing like almost staticky, buzzing with this kind of faint blue, but all outlined by this Genesis cradle before them. It's maybe 6 feet wide and 6 feet tall. It's a large device. And at its core, there is this, a miniature constellation, a universe, this small, mini hovering form. With the fate of everything in the balance, a single decision to send us into an uncharted future, falter and watch the world as we know, face annihilation. We chose to take fate into our hands. And it worked. A new planar dimension born of cosmic power. But within our hubris was our undoing. Again, shifts away from the 7 to in the room to the 7 kind of on a cliff overlooking what may have been the battlefield below or just some other expanse. It's quiet. The sky is dark, like a deep kind of purpley blue. No stars, no Hadar. Empty. We hadn't simply drawn Vigil away from Hadar, but from anything that would not recognize this new dimension we had crafted. The skies grew dark as the stars fell away. The people of Vigil were spared the threats of otherworldly, though so too were they cut off from the presence of divinity, the domains of their gods, their eternal resting places of their souls. The ensuing crisis that Vigil faced, we were the culprit. We ripped Vigil from its planar home to save it, but we doomed us all here to centuries of war and strife instead, where evil thrived and darkness reigned. With no divinity in place, old guards and wards fell. Villains and monsters were free to roam and subjugate without fear of divine retribution. In the Prismic Society, we spread our power far and wide in an attempt to control, to save, to salvation. But we too fell apart as we turned on one another. The skies began to light as each soul lost in the emptiness of the space we had created, sought some form of eternal rest and could never find it. Lost in the skies above, a burning star for us to watch our own failure. As the people of Vigil saw a star return, they began killing en masse, ritual sacrifice in hopes of bringing their gods back, to create a new constellation born of blood. It was a dark age.
vision begins to kind of dim. You all feel, as it closes, this like crippling pain as like everything had just been witnessing washed over and caught up and then strike right at the base of your temple, like at the back of your skull, just splitting headache instantaneously. And you watch as Sentinel withdraws her hands. They're smoking, smoldering, and around the edges of her eyes burned. She kind of stumbles backwards. Ludomir steps forward, and instantly you all kind of feel the wash of golden energy cleanse the momentary pain.
It was not our intention, obviously. And it is this unintended prison that we have held this world in since the Dark Age. The first light, some figures figured out the Genesis Cradle was powerful enough that they could return the gods to us, and so they have. But with each miracle performed, cracks began to form within the dimension that we had created. Rather than return us to our original position, they have pulled the gods here from their home to this dimension. And subsequently, more and more cracks in our dimension. With the fall of Gammalast, the final crack, the cradle is broken.
And now Hidar has the scent for us?
Indeed.
Well, if it is the fate of this world to know such darkness, then we shall bring the light, and we will start at Ramzad together.
Lightbringers. He scribbles down in his notebook. Lightbringers. Sounds good.
Ooh.
Then I think we have in accord. I have shared my greatest failure with you in the endeavor that we may never face it again. Sentinel and I will make way for Ser Eden by week's end. And I would encourage that we find the most expedient route for you, the Ramzad.
DM, what's Ser Eden?
Ser Eden is the kind of essentially like the religious capital, like the Vatican of this world. It is a city-state within Candorne that is on the Empyrean Gulf, the kind of eastern coast.
I remember you mentioning this now. Okay.
It is kind of like it's a two-pronged kind of divine kind of leadership kind of area where the Order of the Iron Fang, the most like devout knights of Kieran, and the White Hand, the kind of followers of Istar, are kind of they hold sway, they hold court there, so to speak. But it is like a mecca for anyone to kind of travel to for religious. What's the pilgrimage?
Pilgrimage?
Yeah. So they're not. It's not like only those two deities are worshipped there. Every deity can be worshipped there freely. But those are the two who founded it, sort of.
And so we got to find the quickest way to Baern
in that citadel. Good thing we got a guy who's been there before.
I can, in fact, show you the way. I cannot promise that what we will face north of my homeland will be easy, but I can get us there, yes.
Did you leave your homeland on like really good terms and it'll be okay going back there?
This is complicated. Short answer, no. No, I did not leave on good terms. In fact, I was run out of my homeland.
Yeah, I've been there too.
But this is perhaps story for the road. It is long. You will need many hours for Mogden to explain his complicated history.
We can save it. Like to hear yours too, Cal, later.
I got a couple stories to tell, but look, we're a month of travel where I'm at at best. That's not enough. Ursus, is there anywhere faster?
Ludomir, is there any way faster?
That are options. Powerful druids have the abilities to travel between flora of this world. The Witherbloom Forest is on the south of Baern. It would get you more than halfway there. The Witherbloom Forest is not for the faint of heart. We could attempt to find an old teleportation circle, but I hasten to think of any towers that would be acceptable or even still standing and not rubble in the wake of the Arcanoclast.
Sentinel offers up that Starless Citadel is known to us. It is a liminal space, crosses boundaries. It's clear it crosses into the Fae. Perhaps it may need not be infiltrated from this side. As for timing, a passage of time here and the passage of time in the Fae is not linear nor aligned. It could be weeks here, it could be seconds there, and vice versa. With a powerful ally or a deal made, passage to the Fae into the Citadel could be a matter of minutes.
Are we going to the Feywild?
Is this a path that you see yourselves on? It is dangerous.
If it takes us to the light, then it is one we must walk, I believe, yes.
Nettie and I, we think we're from there, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, you are from there.
Oh, we are? Okay.
Yes. Sorry. Did you not know you were from the Feywild?
We showed up in a forest, and then,
Some things are a bit hazy.
I sometimes forget that some people cannot see the auras in the same way that I can. Yes, you are both explicitly from the Feywild. Yes.
Monkey, what?
So there's that, and so maybe if we go to the Feywild, then we have our memories of what happened before come back, and I'm sure that's all okay too. But if we have to go get Ursa, I mean, we don't really have a choice.
Andy will wipe away, she has been silently crying probably this whole time and is only just realizing it, so finally wipes everything away. I don't want to put a damper on this plan, but isn't that where there's a giant war going on?
And I think also where the Pale Court is kind of residing. But we don't have much of a choice. I think we got to do it.
Well, let's not be hasty, but by day's end, let's sort out a plan for which way we may go. Of course, my resources are yours.
Cal nods.
A fellowship. Oh, sorry. No, you keep going.
A fellowship, indeed. A fellowship drawn together by fate itself. A peculiar group, but so intrinsically tied to every element that is at play. 2 lost from the Fae, 1 lost from the stars. A prophet who has seen that which even their gods cannot see. And our allies from every corner. Let's bring the light.
Let's bring the light.
Wait, which one were you, Andy? Or are you lost from the Fae as well? Or are you...
I think I've seen a lot of shit.
Oh, you were the god one. Got it.
I don't know. I'm very confused right now.
All these answers and more next time.
Ooh, shit, we're going to the Feywild? Oh, no.
It's a path, it's an option.
Snow globe? We live in a magic snow globe that's going to crack.
It's about to get Tolkien up in this biatch.
And a spooky, scary, god-killing, devouring monster is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.